Okay, so here we are, Township of Concord. One more month. For the information, Mr. Pileggi is not in attendance tonight, so I will chair the meeting. So the building is open for this meeting. However, due to COVID-19, we have a limit of 20 residents allowed in attendance, and I'm sure we'll be keeping count of the people that come in. We do have public comment. If you cannot attend the meeting, you could email your questions for public comment in advance. I do believe we have 4 questions that we'll address later in the meeting. Regarding the call to order, disclosure of recording devices, anyone in the audience recording the meeting? I don't see any hands, so I assume that no one is recording the meeting. So let's start out with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
We'll start out with council approval on the public meeting minutes of September 1, 2020. We'll have a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, any questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. We have the total expenditures of $944,532.99. Making up the township payroll of $147,600.96. Current bills totaling $618,539.31, which is a high number because we have the fireman's relief, which is included in that for $156,000, and the liquid fuel payment of $115,000, and sewer bills totaling $178,392.72. Do I get a motion for approval? A second?
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. And now to the fun part, recognition, proclamation for Delco Arts Week. Mr. Crossan, would you like to handle that?
Thank you, Mr. Gillespie. Yes, so I have here a proclamation to read declaring October 3rd through 10th Delaware County Arts Week. Whereas Delaware County is a county rich with culture, and we are blessed with talented artists and performers who contribute to the artistic and cultural fabric of our community. And whereas the Delaware County Arts Consortium, formed in 2009, includes representatives from over 50 Delaware County arts organizations and strives to advance the economic vitality of the arts community and promote the value of Delaware County's cultural resources to the local community and beyond. And whereas the arts and culture organizations in the Delaware County contribute approximately $64 million and 918 full-time jobs to the local Delaware County economy. And whereas members of the Delaware County Arts Consortium will hold their second annual Delco Arts Week from October 3rd through 10th, 2020, to showcase the arts in Delaware County and engage and introduce community members and visitors to the many artistic venues and experiences that Delaware County has to offer. And whereas Delco Arts Week will feature more than 75 different performances, exhibits, workshops, concerts, tours, and other events taking place in 50 venues throughout Delaware County. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Concord Township Council of Delaware County, hereby declare October 3rd through 10th, 2020 to be Delco Arts Week, and we encourage residents to enjoy and explore some of the events planned, showcasing the artistic talents in Delaware County. I so move.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second motion.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. Okay, now, we have some awards to be given out. So prior to COVID, one of our employees in the sewer department, John Rapp, had submitted the sewer department for these 2 awards. For the submittal, he needed to explain the safety protocols we have in place and follow, safety equipment on hand, equipment certifications, gas metering calibrations, and also explaining the monthly facility inspections, which include checking all fire extinguishers, exit signs, emergency generators, and AED machines. There's 2 awards, which will be given out in November. So we're a little bit ahead of schedule here, but these will be given out by the Eastern Pennsylvania Water Pollution Control Operators Association, otherwise known as EPWPCOA, for those who don't know that. So the first award is the 2020 Collection System Safety Award, and the second award is the 2020 Plant Safety Award Class 1 for 8 or less employee category. So I'd like to have the board come up front. We'll hand out the plaques to our township sewer employees.
Thank you.
While we take our seats again, I'd like to add to the recognition of our sewer team by thanking them and the rest of and several other members of our township staff for their hard work in the rescue efforts of the dog Trixie that you may have seen on Facebook a few weeks ago. Unfortunately, Trixie found her way into a stormwater drain pipe the wrong way and found herself trapped. And after about 5 hours of hard work and much contribution and dedication from our township sewer staff and other staff members, she was successfully rescued. And so you never know what a day may bring and other duties as assigned, but regardless of being assigned them, I thank you for your service to the township.
Okay. All right, moving right along. The monthly activity reports, Pennsylvania State Police. Don't see anybody from the state police here, so we'll move on. Sewer Department, that's usually my report, so I'll read that. The monthly activity report from September. Both the main plant and Riviera plant continue to meet discharge requirements within the parameter of the NPDES permits. The operations staff performed 18 lateral inspections as required for resale certification during the month of September. And the sewer engineer is finalizing bidding documents for Smithbridge Estates sewer project, which consists of extending sewer mains and laterals for the remaining portion of the neighborhood that was not included in the developer service area, which is currently being constructed. And finally, the sewer engineer has prepared Act 537 plan revision for a future sewer project to serve Concord Road North, consisting of a low-pressure sewer system. Included in the service area is approximately 58 homes, the Concordville Fire Company, the Township Complex, and those homes along Concord Road, Thornton Road, Scott Road, and Quaker Lane. Correspondence regarding the future project will be sent to those in the service area with meetings to be scheduled in the future.
John, do we have a general sense of an estimated time frame for when that project might be completed? Would that be sort of the first half of next year or the second half of next year, do we think, based off the 537 plan revision now?
Well, the 537 plan could take some time. It all depends on when we get information back from the DEP. So it's really conditioned upon that.
Great, thank you.
Be hard to give a ballpark timeframe. Code enforcement, zoning officer Manos, I don't believe Manos is here. His report will be into the record. Planning Commission, Rich Juleson. I don't see Rich here. Solicitor Hugh Donahoe.
Yes, sir. Please be advised that there was an executive session held on the evening of September 2nd after the last public meeting regarding Pulte and the Pulte litigation. Also on October the 2nd, there was a mediation with Judge Burr regarding Pulte, at which time the judge made his recommendation to the parties. Be advised that on September 25th, there was a hearing with Judge Whalen concerning the Concord Ventures case and Concord Ventures motion to supplement the record. And Judge Whalen had indicated to the Concord Venture folks that they were to make a decision as how they wanted to proceed, and we're still waiting to hear what that decision may be. That's all I have, sir.
Okay, Township Engineer Nate Klein.
Good evening. Just a couple brief updates. First, I spoke to the project manager for PennDOT's 322 project, and I'm happy to report they are in the process of finalizing that project, notably the paving, and we could have all 4 lanes of 322 open as early as the end of October, early November. So that's a small miracle, but seems like we're right there. So. Second, regarding the road program, that was complete. We are completed with that project. We've responded to all the punch list items. We've got a couple striping items, but otherwise that road program was a success this summer. And then we've got a few other items on the agenda tonight I can kind of discuss on an as-needed basis if anybody has any questions on the agenda items. Thank you.
Is that it, Nate?
That's it. Thank you.
Township Manager Amanda Sirach.
Sure. A couple quick announcements. I want to say thank you so much to Nate and staff. We are just received award for a DCNR grant for the Bush Hill Farm Master Plan. So very exciting. Keep the momentum going. The grant was for $22,500 and more to come on that. We just were awarded and we'll get mechanisms in place to keep that moving. So I know we've talked a lot about that. So that's really great news. Additionally, I want to remind folks that on October 13th, between 4 and 6 p.m., we're having sort of an open house at the Public Works Garage. That's being done very similar to those who attended the 322 project meetings. We will be discussing the Smith Bridge Corridor project, which includes the roundabout and trails. And we're also going to be discussing the Garnet Valley Greenway, formerly known as the Pico Right-of-Way Trail project, which was the feasibility study, another grant that we had received. So we hope folks can walk around, look at boards. We'll have the garage bays open to sort of keep that outside feel and air circulating for those that do attend. And they're able to ask questions to staff professionals that will be there. So we hope to get good attendance on that. And then finally, this Saturday is our Recycle Day from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. at the Public Works Garage, very similar format. However, due to COVID, there are some changes. Folks will only be able to do their shredding, electronics recycling, and any drugs that they'd like to contribute to the Take Back program. We will not be having Goodwill this year. We are also asking folks to remain in their cars and to place their electronics or shredding in their trunks, and there will be people assisting them with discarding. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to call the township. We're here to answer those questions. Thanks.
Thank you. Just prior to the meeting tonight, Council and Pagano had asked if he could have a few minutes to address the board and the public. So I'll turn that few minutes over to Councilman Pagano.
Thank you, John. I wish to make an announcement tonight. It is with great sadness that I am announcing my resignation effective midnight tonight. Personal family issues, I make this decision. I want to thank the residents of Concord Township for support. I also wish to thank my fellow council members. I have the utmost respect. Wish them nothing but success. They're truly all good people. most residents of the township effort. I also wish to thank my wife Trish, tonight, children and close family for their support have given me throughout the past year. Thank you for the opportunity.
Wow, so that's kind of a shock to hear that tonight. Can we convince you to change your mind?
I sat on this decision for several weeks now, and it's more of that really is sadness. I really believe that
I fully understand. We go through situations in life where we have to make decisions, and we made a decision. So the right thing for us to do as a council right now would be to accept your resignation. So I'll ask for a motion, if someone will make a motion that we accept Councilman Pagano's resignation.
I motion that we regretfully accept Mr. Pagano's resignation.
Can we get a second? Do you have any questions?
No questions for Pete, but I would just like to add a comment that, Pete, you are a pillar of this community, not just in Concord, but the broader community. And you have been a pillar on this council. And, pillars remain due to their strong foundation. And so I am grateful for your service these last 9 months. And you will be sorely missed in not only the coming months, but coming years for the remainder of your term. And but we trust that as a citizen of Concord, you will remain engaged and continue to contribute to the things that make Concord such a great place to live. Thank you for your service.
Yeah. I echo those remarks as well. I just want to say you'll be sorely missed, and if our council president was here, I'm sure he would have similar type words, but he's not here with us tonight. So, we need to call on the vote.
Thank you, Pete.
All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. So I suppose later in the meeting, we'll give the solicitor some time to think about what our next step would be. Let's carry on with the meeting, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the meeting. Wow. Okay. So we go on to public comment. So what I'd like to do is read the 4 email concerns that we have. We have the first one from Laurie Davenport from 1102 Chevers Drive. And the comment is, why Mr. Pileggi does not return resident correspondence. He has written him twice. Well, it's Mr. Pileggi is not here. I guess he can't answer that comment. So we'll have to take that under advisement. Second one is from Ellen Ilbach, an email from 26 Governor Markham Drive. Her comment is Alden Avenue road damage from up the hill from Thornton Road, and when will the possible repair be? I know our township engineers looked at that. I've also looked at it. This is damage from the surface paving from one of the recent storms that we had. And Nate, maybe you could give us a quick synopsis of what's going to happen there.
Yeah, we are looking at 2 options. One would be a short-term patching operation to kind of get us through the winter. And then we would repave Alden Avenue next summer as part of the road program. Alternatively, we're considering possibly doing a small paving project kind of before the winter gets to address this and a few other storm-related issues. So we're evaluating what the options are, and I should have some clarity by next month's meeting.
Thank you. The third public comment was from Eric Carter Thompson, the Darlington Arts Center Executive Director. Thank you email to council for supporting Delco Arts Week. Nice to get thank yous. The fourth one is from Ed Nolan, an email. Will the new rain garden at Clayton Park be treated for mosquitoes, and who will treat it? trees planted are not good. They now have to go 1 mile east to the loop at Folk Road and 1 mile west to start a westbound journey. Well, these are certainly comments from PennDOT. I mean, that's that road and the associated rain garden are all under the purview of PennDOT. So I don't know how we would answer that. Maybe we could forward this comment on to PennDOT construction manager and see what happens with that. So that's the extent of the public comments via email. Now I'll open it up to the audience. Just a reminder that when you address the board, address comments to the chair here, and if I feel or any of the other council people feel that an answer is required, they will certainly give it. And again, these are comments, not question and answer periods. So anyone in the audience care to make any comments? Joshua? So give your name and address, please.
Josh Twerski, 1 Cedar Grove Drive. After Concord Township's public meeting on September 1st, 2020, Council held a secret executive session to discuss denying a secure ballot box being placed at the township. On September 10th, 2020, Daily Times reporter Kathleen Carey wrote an article titled, quote, "Concord declines to put voting ballot box in township building." I wrote the following email in response to the article. It said, "Miss Carey, I served as a Concord Township Council member from 2018 to 2019 and was particularly interested in your article about Concord Township's rejection of a secure ballot box from Delaware County. This rejection is just one of a long line of Sunshine Act violations, suppression, and disenfranchisement of Concord residents, and frankly, particularly aimed at resident Democrats. When I started my term as a council member in January 2018, the council was meeting for its last Tuesday work sessions in the back room of the township building. And while the township has a beautiful public meeting room, the doors to the township building were locked tight. No public could have attended if they wanted to. When I raised this Sunshine Act violation, I was told by 20 consecutive year council president Dominic Pileggi, quote, "This is the way we have always done it," unquote. It was not until I refused to attend meetings and threatened to go public that the meetings were held here in the public meeting room and the doors to the township building were unlocked. Also in 2018, the local Concord Bethel Democratic Party wanted to rent the senior center to hold a fundraiser. Again, in violation of the Sunshine Act, the council held an executive session where changing the rental rules was discussed. At this executive session, Vice President of Council John Gillespie said, quote, "We should stop renting to political parties." Unquote. I don't want the Democrats to be able to raise money at township-owned property. Unquote. In August of 2018, there was another executive session in violation of the Sunshine Act where the topic of political tables at the township's annual community day was discussed. Political tables where candidates and surrogates could talk to residents and give them information had been happening at community day since its inception many, many years ago. Again, Council Vice President John Gillespie was very clear with his intentions when he said, quote, "I don't want the Democrats to be able to campaign at community day," unquote. Initially, Council voted to no longer allow political tables at community day. However, after yours truly and many others created such a public outcry over the decision, it was reversed. But it was not for Council's lack of trying. These are just a few examples of what was but not supposed to be done behind closed doors, and the historic bad behavior of Concord Council, led by Dominic Pileggi, John Gillespie, and right-hand man solicitor Hugh Donahue. There's no doubt in my mind that the council decided in secret against the secure ballot box, and I'm not surprised by their vile, un-American, and cowardly decision. Concord proud.
If I may respond, Mr. Gillespie, to one point. Mr. Twerski, there was never an executive session held to discuss ballot box. The executive session held on September 1st, if that was the date, concerned the Pulte matter. That executive session was held after the public meeting. Thank you.
I don't know that we need to answer any of these comments.
No, it's time to move on, John.
The one, it's just, Thank you for your comments. Do we have someone else who would like to address council? Please give us your name and address.
Worry anybody about COVID, but I got questions. David Cleary, 72 Schoolhouse Lane. Just what was just going through. There is something you are supposed to speak to. When you come out and start the meeting, you say you had an executive session, and that's your job, Mr. Gillespie, report, not for it to come up after the fact by the solicitor and to say specifically what the executive session was about. People shouldn't have to be coming up here and ask. That's my opinion. I think that's the way this bunch. But yeah, if I could go on, and I still can't get there. Thank you for your service, and sorry to hear. Get to that in a second. Positive in some ways, problems. That's my initial point. Solicitor does way too much talking. My first question for the audience, I guess. Why does the solicitor do most of the speaking during the public comment? Why can't the elected council members respond to the questions? Somebody's going to respond. All right, you don't want to respond. But last meeting, there was a complaint on how long the public comment went. Most of the microphone time was the solicitor, not the citizen. It's our forum, not his.
If I could interrupt you, Mr. Cleary, it's the township comments. It's not questions and answers. If you want to submit questions to our township manager, we'll get answers and we'll get back to you. But this is not
I've done that. I'll get to the questions I've submitted year after year and still have not gotten an answer. It's very clearly laid out here, and the township manager has not answered these questions. And they should be answerable in specific documentation that I highlight. Second part, my opinion is there should be a public safety report, whether the state police show up or not at the meeting. I appreciate you getting back to me, Mr. Pagano, but I felt it was a little dismissive to say, go read the Delco Times. Homicide investigation. I think every month there should be a public safety report. If the state police don't show up, somebody needs to figure out how to augment it. Have a shooting and there's questions here. It shouldn't be go read the Delco Times. A little bit of open communication coming on the public safety, especially with that type of. The third point, I brought with me the Concord Township Zoning Hearing Board instruction. And what I say in my third question is, did Dominic Pileggi sign off on the 14-page document with the title I just read, Concord Township Hearing Board Instructions and Applications? Page 14 is signed by Dominic Pileggi. Does this application specifically state on page 3, section 4, legal non-conformity? Got there. If the applicant requests an extension for a legal non-conformity, it must present, I don't know why they use it must present evidence or testimony establishing the length of time of the non-conformity has been in existence and why it believes it is legal. We've been going around about the formerly Capelli property now owned by 139 Schoolhouse Lane LLC at 139 Schoolhouse. I asked Mr. Rock, can't find the documentation. It clearly says in this document signed by Mr. Pledge that that documentation has to exist. Is the property at 139 Schoolhouse Lane zoned R2D? I can follow up in an email if you say that's where I'm going to get an official answer. But I don't want to hear an undocumented answer from the township manager that, hey, it's kind of like this in some other places. I want to see the official Concord Township record.
Mr.
It feels
Cleary,
like
Mr.
there's
Cleary,
something
could I
not
interrupt
right.
you for a minute, please?
What's that?
Your paper here says questions for the Concord Township Council members, okay? There's 7 of us. You think all 7 of us know the answers to these questions? You think we study all these documents? We have a township manager and we have a solicitor. Can I finish, please? We have a township manager and a solicitor. But rather than get 7 different answers, you're going to get one answer.
Looking for the one answer to that question.
All right, well, we'll see what happens.
And been 10 years and multiple repeats. You guys took me to court.
Well, the year's
Still no
not,
answer.
the year's not over yet. Maybe Santa Claus will bring you an answer.
You took me to court and there's still no answer. I'll keep going through the question. Did the current property owner, 139 Schoolhouse Lane, submit a zoning application for nonconforming use to the property? And that application he's supposed to submit is signed off. Mr. Pledgey's not here tonight, but you were part of that process too, Mr. Gillespie. And if the property owner's glasses fogging up at 139 Schoolhouse Lane LLC did not do this, their commercial use of the property is supposed to be shut down by the township manager, the code enforcement. And if I could read at the bottom of the page from the actual Commonwealth Court ruling against the Capellis, the previous property owners, here's a quote from it. Moreover, at the core of the Capellis' argument is the premise that the oral assurances of township officials that there were not zoning violations can bind the township on grounds of equitable estoppel, which is some big legal terms. We cannot accept such an argument because it would lead to instances of fraud and severely compromise the principles of zoning ordinance. I went to the planning commission. Regular citizens have to go through a meticulous process if they want variations in the use of a property. What is the problem with this property? Why the special dispensation? Why don't they have to follow the rules like everybody else? And it's over. I actually am kind of asking the questions. Everybody on the council agrees with what the solicitor said over the years, or the folks that are new? Is that what I'm supposed to understand? That you only have one voice? You got 7 council members and there's one voice?
Mr. Cleary, I believe that I've been here for a couple of years and I've seen many of your inquiries and a lot of correspondence back and forth. Is it that you haven't gotten an answer, or you haven't gotten the answer that you like and want?
Here's the procedure here. You're saying that the answer wouldn't be in a form as procedures defined by Pledgey that trying to make it seem like I don't like the answer. Say that I'm supposed to like the answer not coming back in this form, documented process by the Concord Township Code. Yes, I don't like that answer. I think that's public corruption. Some people are allowed to use property, not have to go through this process. I'm holding my hand here.
Mr. Cleary, what's your next point?
Also, Mr. Gillespie, I'm done. I'm anxious if anybody has anything to say. I appreciate you getting back to me. Yeah, I don't like wasn't followed. I'll be bluntly clear. I think that's public corruption, and I'd like to see documentation. If it doesn't exist, shut them down. Anybody have anything for me? I'm going to leave a copy of the zoning process.
You're welcome to pass a copy to our township manager, Ms. Sirach, and we can address it in that way.
You can print a copy for everybody, so that I'm not even a COVID contact tracer. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else care to address council? Yes, sir. Give us your name and address, please.
Gene Goebel, 7 Quaker Lane. I have 3 items this evening. First item, I wanted to discuss the August 4th and August 7 rainfalls. Historic water damage to the township from non-historic rain. Last month, the township did discuss the rain, and there was some information from Mr. Klein that I believe were misleading. Nate, I believe, cited some FEMA charts dating the August 4th. We had 5 inches in 6 hours, which is somewhere between a 100 and 500-year storm. On August 7th, depending on the rain gauge, we had 3 to 5 inches in 1 hour, which he would claim was greater than a 500-year storm. Now, the data Nate recited, I believe, is the legal standard for development. However, those charts are universally considered inaccurate by scientific and meteorology community. The fact is, Philadelphia has had 4 500-year storms in the last 20 years. The odds of that happening, if FEMA charts were correct, are 1 in 390,000. Houston, Texas has had 500-year storms in each of the last 3 years. Odds of those FEMA maps being correct are 1 in 125 million. Greenhouse gases and global warming are real. Weather extremes are here to stay and are likely to get worse. So what should the township do about it? We can't be too forward-thinking in environmental enforcement because the John Jaroses of the world will continue to eat our lunch. But what the township should be doing is, 1, stop giving waivers and variances from environmental protection to developers. Example, February this year, this board approved a Maris Grove plan that used an outdated wetland protection code from 2015. Provided even more allowance to disturb the wetland margin when, as of December 2015, the code was changed to not allow any disturbance. 2, fix the Quaker Lane storm management retention pond that was never built to code or plan. Or 3, find a floodplain administrator who is able to do their job. The current administrator is overwhelmed with other tasks. Any questions before I go to item 2? Second issue is still unaddressed violations of the makeshift parking lot at 711 Concord Road on the old James Pool building slab. At the August meeting, I brought it up. Mr. Pileggi asked me to put my concerns in writing. They would be addressed. The following day, I sent him an email. He said, Mr. Donahue. Sometime later, Mr. Donahue replied with, there is no code violation. And ignoring specific questions is no more addressing the issue than responding with yellow to the question, what is 3 plus 3? There is no nonconformance with that building that was lost to fire or code. The abandoned slab is too close to residentially zoned land for parking or code. The slab is dimensionally insufficient for 2 rows of legal parking for the Hootman survey. The surface is in violation of the floodplain as the material is not pervious, et cetera, et cetera. Now, there have been some changes since last month when Mr. Donahue said there were no violations. Battery-powered lights have been added to some new posts to keep cars from going off the edge of the lot. Fantastic to see the post. Fantastic to see lights that don't glare onto neighbor residential areas. They've installed a rope, R-O-P-E, keep cars from going the edge of this off a 2 or 3 foot drop. I don't know what that adheres to. They brought in some landscaping block structures that look very nice, but code for a floodplain is can't have any structures without a variant. Response to number 2.
Mr. Goebel, you had indicated these same questions before,
Right, and the response was yellow.
and you got answers? Maybe,
Yes.
Maybe you
The
didn't like,
response to the question of what's 3 plus 3, I got response. The answer was yellow.
you didn't like the answer.
Wasn't that I didn't like it, it was inappropriate, made no sense.
Mr.
If I ask you
Goble,
what 3 plus 3 is and you say yellow, what do I do with that? I like it? No, this doesn't make sense.
I'll say the same thing to you as I said to one of the prior people that addressed this council. You're not going to get up here and ask these questions and expect to get an answer, a unified answer from 7 people. You need to put everything in writing, get it to our township manager, he'll research it, he'll talk to the solicitor, he'll discuss it with us, and you'll get an answer. You might not like the answer.
No, I won't get an answer. I put it in writing to Amanda in July of 2019, and there's been pretty much consistent meetings, conversations, et cetera, and every time the answer is yellow.
This is not a gripe session. We're trying.
I'm not here to gripe.
We're
Had
trying.
Amanda answered my question in July, you would not have seen or heard from me since.
We're trying to.
But in July, she said yellow. She still says yellow.
Can I speak? We're trying to conduct township business. Okay, if you have questions and concerns like you have, you're not going to get them answered here. That's not what this session is
Are
for.
you willing to answer, Amanda?
Can I just add that your interpretation of yellow is an interpretation? You and I have met multiple occasions since I've been here. Your
Yes.
issues go back farther than me. And you have been very respectful. We've met, he's met with Hugh, you've met with me, Manos, I think even Nate may have been involved in a few of those meetings with some questions that you've had. We have had different interpretations of the township code. I think that would be what is accurate. I don't know that it would be yellow.
Please tell me what your interpretation is. Donahue's just saying there's no violation.
Well, I think what
Not an interpretation. How is my interpretation
you actually
incorrect?
sent me some emails on Sunday, right? I replied to you, I believe today, this morning, and I basically said to you, so some of the items you have, there are actual violations and citations that have been given to the property owner. District court is not open. There is nothing I can do. The township doesn't go onto properties like gangbusters and rip down lights and do things like that. That's
Understood.
not how it works. There's a process that we must follow, law abiding, just like every citizen.
So let's just talk about that parking lot.
So, but
How is that okay to be there?
number one, I'm not the building code official or zoning officer. Okay. Number two,
Asking for a long
I
time.
believe there have been responses given to you from Mr. Donahue
No.
regarding our response to those comments. We've also advised you on multiple occasions of what you have the ability to do if you don't agree with our responses. I've seen responses to your comments far outdating me that you may or may not agree with or interpret. Now, there is newer stuff, understood. We've gone out, we've met with the property owner. There have been violations issued, and we are in limbo. So, some of the things that you're asking, there are violations out there for lighting, for example. There are other questions that you have when it comes to that James Pool slab that our code and our zoning officer's interpretation does not agree with your interpretation. You've cited
May
code.
I have their
and state-
interpretation?
hang
I've
on.
not heard an interpretation. All I've heard is there's no violation.
No, there have definitely
come-
been responses.
An interpretation.
There have been
is it?
responses. There have been conversations where we sat and there were responses. There have been conversations that I've had with you because that property has been that way since the early 1900s. So,
So stop. Right, James Pool's building had a nonconformance. Agreed. It burned to the ground, sans the slab, it loses its nonconformance, right? There's a section in the code. One of the things, if it's something nonconformance burns down, if it's like more than 75% lost, the nonconformances are lost. And chapter 214-2 can't change the use. Right? The building is a permitted use, a retail building or a warehouse is permitted. A parking lot is permitted. But when you change use from one permitted use to another, you have to comply with all of Chapter 210 at that change. can't go from a burned down building to a parking lot unless you comply with 210. It doesn't because it's too close to residential zoning.
And again, Mr. Goebel, I'm not going to get
So
into.
you may not agree with
I'm
me,
not-
but I'd like to hear somebody put in writing why it is they don't.
It's-
Just don't say there's no code violation. That's just saying yellow. Why? I give you my opinion only in code. You don't reciprocate. You only advocate for 7-Eleven.
Okay. Here's what I can do, and if council will behoove me, I mean, I can sit back down. We've had multiple conversations. You have heard
You know, the
answers
problem
to
with a
things.
verbal conversation in your office is it's your word against mine. I'd rather hear it on the camera or get it in writing.
But you say it's my word as if I'm the one telling you that. I have other people who do that work, Mr. Goebel, that have told you that year after year
Like,
after year.
told
after
me,
year.
put it in writing.
Tried to be
Put it in
extremely
writing.
respectful
I
and
wanna argue
respond to
about
you
what
when I
say or
can.
they say.
I think this, again, going with Mr. Gillespie, this is public comment. I am happy to take anything you have every single time. I have met with you for multiple hours.
Mr.
I've stayed
Pileggi
after
in
work.
August
I've
promised
stayed late and assisted you. I've been on that property. There's lots of things that so there's a communication breakdown.
Right. Well,
Let's
that's
agree
because I
to
can
that.
understand a difference of opinion, like the crap that's stored outside, whether it's on their property line or not, or how long certain crap's been outside. That's open to a certain amount of interpretation. I can understand that. The James Pool slab's not open to any interpretation that I can tell.
But-
Now, please tell me if I'm wrong, other than just saying there's no code violation without addressing the specifics of code.
But there have been. So that's where I am confused with how you feel about it. So
Has been, put it in writing, and there's no debate.
we have
But
done that. You've
discussed this. That
you've
doesn't cut it.
received correspondence from the township solicitor. You've received
The
correspondence.
correspondence
Mr.
from Mr. Donahue simply stated, there's no violation.
Well,
That's him saying yellow.
okay, so instead of it being yellow and what you are anticipating, perhaps
Not
you wanna-
anticipating anything.
perhaps
I'm
you wanna
anticipating
say,
an intelligent response based in code, as my question was intelligent and based in code.
All right.
okay, I don't.
All right, I heard enough.
Okay.
All right, time out.
Third and final item.
Mr.
then.
Goebel.
Moving on.
I said time out. I would like to speak. Have you written all your concerns? Is that a yes or a no?
Have I written all of my
Do
concerns?
we have your concerns in writing?
It's not unusual for concerns to grow as
that a
time
yes
marches
or a
on, but
no?
yes, as of this morning or as of now, you have had at some point or another over the last year received my concerns.
Have
Yes,
you
sir.
received answers?
No, sir.
How many answers are you looking for?
5 or 6.
All right, well, we'll get answers back to you in writing. We're not getting anywhere here. You're going
Understood.
back and forth.
Okay, moving
I
on.
want- I
My
want
last
your-
and final item, number
Mr.
3, if I
Goebel.
may. We'll try to speed this up for
I
you.
want your questions in writing,
That's what I did, sir.
and you'll get answers. You may not like the answers, but that's the way we do business.
I understand that, sir, as long as the answers are based in code and
Do you have
not
any other concerns?
unsubstantiated opinion.
Do you have any other concerns that we haven't heard many times?
I have one more comment for this evening's last question. Yes, sir, you haven't heard this one. Item number 3 is on the El Granio Restaurant, also 7-Eleven Concord Road. My understanding is October 15th of this month, the outdoor dining resolution will come to an end. Is that still the case, and does council have any intentions of possibly extending that?
Mr. Goebel, put it in writing. We're not going to answer that at tonight's meeting. Put it in writing.
Okay, fine, gotcha.
Mr. Goebel,
June 4th,
will address-
2020, I got a letter from Mr. Donahue.
Mr. Goebel, if I may. So you are correct that that does expire on October 15th, and as a result, we will be discussing an extension of that as part of tonight's agenda, which has been published. So I just wanted to answer your question, of
Okay, I didn't realize that. Thank you for your response.
course.
So I had asked for the application for that outdoor dining at 711 Concord Road, and had expressed my opinion that the approval of that application was not per the governor's order. I was overruled by Mr. Donahue, so be it. However, in a letter, I guess council asked Mr. Donahue back in June about my concerns, presumably because council thought perhaps my points were valid. In Mr. Donahue's response, he said to you folks that the concerned neighbor's property is greater than 350 feet from the outdoor dining. Fact, Mr. Donahue, is my property is less than 200. May I ask where you came up with the number of over 350?
I'd have to see the letter, sir. I don't know. I don't know.
All right.
If you're telling
It's your letter,
if
sir,
you're-
June the 4th,
if you say
2020.
it's 200 feet, maybe it's 200 feet. I don't know.
Well, sir, you said over 350. There's a pretty big difference. Okay, you don't know. So you also said that the outdoor dining would be shielded from my property by the restaurant itself, which is not true. However, in your defense, the applicant's sketch plan of the outdoor dining, it was shielded, but what they actually installed was not per plan. So perhaps you make the mistake of extending outdoor dining in a floodplain on a property that adjoins residential neighborhoods. You could consider they redo their application or reconstruct what they applied for. And finally, in the letter, Mr. Donahue, you said the township noise ordinance would still be in effect for this outdoor dining. Township noise ordinance is somewhat vague. It basically just says noises need to be reasonable. So does outdoor dining allow more noise than a property without outdoor dining?
Is that a question, sir?
Yes, it is.
I assume that if people are eating outside and they're talking, they will make some noise.
At what point does it become unreasonable?
I don't know the answer to that question, sir, unless someone measured it.
Well, yes, if someone were to measure it, is 50 decibels on an adjoining property reasonable? 60 is 70 is 80. Where do you draw the line of reasonableness?
Mr. Goebel, I'm not here to argue with you. If you subject.
No, it's your statement. I'm asking some clarification to
It's
your
not my
statement.
statement. What statement's my statement?
The June 4th letter to council, when you were sort of rationalizing your interpretation that it's okay to have outdoor dining adjacent to a residential lot, which code does not allow, sort of, in my mind, rationalized it by saying, oh, it's more than 350 feet away, false, and that the township noise ordinance would still be in effect, inferring that it's not going to be too loud. So what's too loud?
I can't understand the last thing you said.
Something for you folks to keep in mind if you consider extending the, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, as the public can see, at last month's meeting, I had asked our solicitor to look into limiting the amount of time people can get up and address the board. And this is a perfect reason. Get up and you go on and on about the same thing month after month. You don't like the answers and you keep coming back. Put it in writing, you'll get answers. Thank you, Mr. Goebel. Anyone else care to address council? Anyone else care to address council? Thank you. All right, under new business, accept the TCDI grant report for pedestrian studies. This is a report that we need to accept. It will be put on our website by the end of the week. Is that correct?
That's correct. We're doing our final QA/QC. As council recalls, that was a grant administered by the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission, where Chadsford, Concord Township, and the Brandywine Conservancy prepared recommendations for pedestrian improvements along the 202-1 corridors. We had an online kind of COVID engagement process over the months of the summer to help facilitate that. Again, I've got the final document essentially on my desk. I just got to clean up some of the language and just want to make sure it's a clean document before I put it up on the township website. For the grant, our preference is that we accept this document. There'll be further discussion in future months. And again, we'll get this document out to the public and online. My hope is by the end of this week.
We need a motion to accept that report?
So
would.
moved.
Okay, we'll do it anyway. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second it.
Any questions?
Nate, when, in terms of, I believe this report will then have, it'll identify opportunities, make recommendations, et cetera. So then what would be the next steps? I mean, once this report is obviously completed and we accept this report, what would be the recommended next steps for kind of some sort of an understanding or review of those recommendations, the report findings, et cetera?
Correct. We need to have the final report completed for the grant from a timing basis, but we certainly have the ability to make some edits or changes as necessary if either Chadsford Township or Concord Township would like. Ultimately, the goal of this report is to tee up future improvements on those corridors for pedestrians, such as crossings, bus shelters, trail connections. And, this report's going to help buttress future grant applications for those projects, help with future land development projects as projects come up, and come up with kind of a combined game plan with Chadsford. As everybody knows, 202 meanders through both townships. So a report that kind of aligns both of those townships along that corridor with some of those improvements.
So do we need to have like an open, is it for the public? So is there sort of an open house moment to review the findings of this, or is the audience more you, the engineers, planning commission, other professionals, et cetera, as we review land development or do budget planning, think about?
Yeah, ultimately it's slightly more of an administrative angle, John, where again, it's going to hopefully lead to budget discussions, as soon as maybe next year and beyond, as well as coordinate maybe slightly better with Chadsford along that corridor. Again, once the document is uploaded to the township website, we'll provide copies and we'll have an opportunity, if there's feedback from the public, questions, modifications, we can make some additional edits if necessary.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in approval, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Newland Gristmill Earth Day funds request of $10,000. So in tonight's bill list, we have a check for $10,000 to the gristmill. This is to replant and rebuild after the storms that have basically shut down their operation. We already approved that under the bill, so that doesn't need any approval.
Correct. And just as a bit of added color, we had planned to give we had committed money for a planting project back in the spring around Earth Day, but due to COVID, that project didn't happen. And since then, their needs have changed given the storm requirements. And so they're asking for the ability to repurpose those funds, which is what we.
So I think it'd be appropriate to have a motion to repurpose those funds.
So I move that we allow the gristmill to repurpose those funds as needed for the rehabilitation of their site.
Do I have a second?
Second motion.
Any questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. Number 3, award the bid for landscaping and tree planting projects. We received bids on October the 5th. 3 bidders. The low bidder is KMC Property Maintenance. Base bid is $62,440. You add in the alternate, it's $162,799.97. Being the lowest and most responsive bidder, recommendation of our township engineer is to award that contract. Can I get a motion for that, please? A second?
Second.
Any questions?
Nate, can you just add a little color around these projects?
So what we have is a landscaping contract that consists of several kind of smaller projects. One will be some landscaping here at the township facility, at the township site. Second will be some plantings at the recently acquired Corilla property on Namens Creek and Pile Roads. Third will be some landscaping improvements at the township park. And fourth, and probably most substantial, will be some landscaping improvements along the median of 202. This will go from roughly the state line where you see the Welcome to Pennsylvania sign, north to the intersection with Namens Creek, possibly just north of that. We put this contract together, to try to get this work done, completed before the end of the fall here. We were positive that we would get some bids, and we did get the local bidder here with some good numbers. So we think we can get this project completed quickly, but before winter sets in, and have some nice landscaping in here so that when spring comes, it pops, and have some improvements. We do have some plans I provided the council and township staff that was part of the bid documents. I'm happy to share those or provide those further as needed.
Thank you, Nate. And to clarify, all of this was budgeted as part of capital planning for our 2020 budget. And this money, as well as the money that went to the Newland grist mill, did come from our tree fund.
Yes, I was going to bring that up. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Authorization to apply for the DVRPC grant up to $300,000, which is 20% match for the Acarero Trail funding. These are construction dollars. The project is designed, so these are construction dollars. So we need a motion to authorize.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Authorization to advertise bids for public works, emergency work, excavation, road work, stormwater, and related repairs. This will be a one-year contract. Township was hit very hard with work after these storms, so we need to go out for emergency work. That's what this is for. Authorization to advertise bids. I get a motion to advertise. Second? Any questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Authorization to advertise bids for Smith Bridge Estates Sewer Project. This is the township phase. Pet Narrow is already under construction under their part of the project. This would be the final part where the residents will be able to tie in. Sewer engineer says we're ready to advertise for bids, so I need a motion to authorize bids. Moved. Second?
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Authorization to advertise bids for chemicals in the sewer plant. This is for a 3-year contract, 2021, 2022, 2023. I get a motion for that.
So moved.
Get a second. Any questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Authorization to advertise Act 537 plan revision for Concord Road North Sewer Project, which I mentioned in our sewer report. I get a motion for that.
So moved.
A second? Any questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Approval of MMO for 2021 in the amount of $172,721. Amanda, that's the amount of money we need to put away for the employee pension fund. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. It's called the minimum municipal obligation.
Okay. So we need to approve that expenditure. To get a motion, please? Second?
Second.
Questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Resolution 52 of 2020, PennDOT Master Casting Agreement, which is, I believe, a 10-year agreement. This is for adjusting manholes in state highways when PennDOT resurfaces the roads. This is an agreement that we need to sign. I get a motion, please.
So moved.
Second? Any questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Resolution 53 of 2020, 806 Baltimore Pike, 322 Plaza Associates. This is the final land development plan, 12,200 square feet, the contractor's shop. So Nate is the engineer, reviewed the plan. Golison, project manager from the planning commission. They're telling me that we have a clean plan, so we can, are you ready to read the resolution?
Yeah, would you, I can just do a brief project summary. This is a little bit of a rehash. The council previously approved this as a preliminary plan, I believe in 2019, for resolution 27 of 2019. That's what it was, April. As Mr. Gillespie said, 12,200 square foot, two-story commercial building. The intended use is a contractor shop. The location is technically 806 Baltimore Pike. It is located, we'll call it east of the intersection of 322 and Baltimore Pike, kind of hidden behind some of those existing houses back on the, as I would call it out in Western Pennsylvania, the holler there down behind the road. You can see it off of 322 as well. The applicant has addressed the extensive comments of our review letter, in addition to Thomas Comita from a landscaping and lighting standpoint, the sewage enforcement officer, the fire marshal, the planning commission has recommended approval and has been reviewed by the Delaware County Planning Commission. We have prepared a draft resolution tonight. This draft resolution is based on the previous preliminary plan resolution. However, has been updated to reflect updated comments and feedback. I can read the resolution, John, unless you would like to.
Well, you're going pretty fast. Why don't you continue?
I'll start with here kind of in the middle. Whereas the final subdivision and land development plan has been reviewed by the Delaware County Planning Commission, the Concord Township Planning Commission, Concord Township Consulting Engineer, the Concord Township Sewage Enforcement Officer, the Township Planning, Landscaping, Lighting Consultant, and the Concord Township Fire Marshal. And whereas the Council of Concord Township finds that the final subdivision and land development plan is generally in conformity with the Township Subdivision Land Development Ordinance and the Zoning Code, provided the applicant complies with each of the following conditions. 1, compliance with all comments contained in the Pannoni Review Letter dated September 11, 2020, attached here 2 as Exhibit A. 2, compliance with all comments contained in Thomas Comita Associates Review Letter dated June 11, 2020, attached here 2 as Exhibit B. Number 3, compliance with all comments contained in the Bradford Engineering Review Letter dated September 15, 2020, attached here 2 as Exhibit C. Compliance with all comments contained in the Fire Marshal's email dated June 8, 2020, attached here 2 as Exhibit D. Compliance with all comments contained in the Delaware County Planning Commission letter dated June 19, 2020, attached here 2 as Exhibit E. Number 6, compliance with all comments contained in the Historical Commission's review letter dated June 8, 2020, attached here 2 as Exhibit F. Number 7, compliance with the stipulation agreement dated February 16, 2009, and attached as Exhibit G. Notably that per item 2E, if, quote, there is any unresolved litigation/dispute involving appellant and said adjoining landowners pertaining to the right of the appellant to utilize the aforementioned 30-foot wide easement, such litigation/dispute will be finally resolved before the township will issue any building permits, end quote. Further, no township permits, including an E&S permit, demolition permit, road opening permit, or any other township permit will be issued or approved until such litigation dispute is finally resolved and all easements recorded. Number 8, no vehicles larger than a single unit delivery truck will be permitted to enter the property. Number 9, applicants shall submit color architectural elevations and color board materials for review and approval by council at the time of final plan submission. Approval of the elevations and materials for the building shall be obtained prior to the issuance of any building permit. All buildings are to be constructed as per the approved architectural elevations, including, including screening of any rooftop mechanical equipment. The architectural design should reference the design of the historic structure being demolished, incorporate relevant architectural elements, and be in keeping with the design aesthetics and requirements of the Concordville Historic Overlay District. Number 10, plans are to be submitted in an electronic format acceptable to the township engineer. Number 11, payment of an open space, park and recreation fee in lieu as per Resolution 6 of 2020 shall be made prior to release of the signed plans. Number 12, all deeds for the properties, legal descriptions, easements, driveway easements, and stormwater maintenance agreements are to be submitted for review and approval by the township engineer and the township solicitor prior to the release of the signed plan. Number 13, developer agrees, enter into development and improvement security agreements prior to release of the signed plans. And finally, number 14, signed, sealed surveyor certification of placement of monuments and pins must be filed with the township prior to recording the signed plan. Now, therefore, Council of Concord Township hereby approves the final subdivision and land development plan and subject to and condition upon compliance with the aforementioned condition. That is the resolution as currently drafted.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve Concord Township Resolution number 53 of 2020. Second?
Second.
Any questions? The applicant's not here, so usually they do show up, but
So I would suggest, Mr. Gillespie, that you execute this resolution on behalf of the Township Council, and then Amanda can attest to that and send a letter with a copy of the document to the applicant, indicating to him that he must review the conditions and execute his signature indicating his approval thereby before he proceeds any further. Thank you.
okay, that's fine. All in favor of the approved motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay. Okay, number 12, resolution number 54 of 2020, PennDOT Highway Use Agreement. This is a township maintenance for the Gateway Beautification Project, certain medians on State Route 202. Nate, I just had one question. What are the limits from the state line? Where does it end?
Yeah, so what we'll do, so this is PennDOT standard maintenance agreement, just to touch base on what this document is. This is similar to other agreements other entities have entered into throughout the state in District 6 of PennDOT. But essentially what PennDOT is saying is, hey, you want to beautify these landscape medians, you've got to maintain them per our requirement. So that is the agreement we're entering into. We will create exhibits that will get attached to this document that'll indicate the limits, which again are approximately the state line with Delaware, technically Bethel Township, north to just north of Naaman's Creek Road.
Okay. Thank
Car
you.
wash, yeah.
Car wash is just a little bit north of where is my expectation. Correct.
Okay, so we have a motion for resolution 54 of 2020.
So moved.
We have a second.
Second.
Any questions?
And just as a note of clarification, and Nate, then these requirements will also be passed on to any contractor that does the work, correct?
Correct. What we did is we included the draft document with the bid that was awarded tonight, so the contractor is aware of these requirements. Once the township executes, we will then include that with the executed contract document. I'm sorry, once the township and PennDOT execute, we will include that with the contract document.
Thank you.
Yep.
But now the panhandlers will have to hide behind a tree. They won't have an open, okay, all right. Number 13, road program, certificate of payment to Innovative Construction Services in the amount of $115,302.10. That's the liquid fuels portion, and the non-liquid fuels portion is $4,193.94. If I can get a motion for that, please.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Have a financial release for a sewer 24-month maintenance bond to McKinney for a Station Road project. Our sewer engineer has inspected the work, say that it's okay to release the maintenance bond. So I need a motion for the financial release, please.
So moved.
Second? Any questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And finally, number 15, accept the following applications for review. 155 Governor Markham, a final minor subdivision, 1 lot created to 3 lots. 164 Governor Markham, a final minor subdivision, 1 lot to 2 lots. So we're accepting those for review. I don't know that we need a motion for that, but we're accepting them. Other council matters under the COVID emergency declaration that expires October 9th. I believe we want to extend that to November the 6th. that correct, Amanda? Yeah. Okay. And also temporary outdoor dining permits, they all expire on October 15th. We want to extend them to January. It's up to each individual business. They can get customers, God bless them, with this pandemic. So we're extending that outdoor dining. Now, before we come up with
Before, you're going to do that by way of motion, both of those?
for those two?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we need a motion for 2 items under other council matters. If I could have a motion, please. Second?
Second.
Any questions?
With regard to the second, with regard to outdoor dining permits, would just like to note that any revisions to current permitting and plans due to seasonal changes should be submitted and reviewed by our township staff. If their previously submitted plans are changing due to the seasonal changes, they should submit those changes to the township staff.
I don't understand your question.
No, it's less of a question, more of a clarification that
Okay.
if there are plans that need to change due to seasonal adjustments for their outdoor dining.
Okay.
You spoke.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. Now, before we talk about upcoming township meetings and events, I'd like the solicitor, he could give us a few words on Councilman Pagano's resignation, what we need to do as a township.
Yes, sir. Council must appoint a successor within 30 days of the council member's resignation. Clock would start tomorrow. The successor must have resided in the township for at least 2 years prior to the appointment. Council does not appoint within 30 days of a council member's resignation. Vacancy board have 15 additional days in which to appoint a successor. In the event that the vacancy board does not appoint a successor within 15 days, then the chairman of the vacancy board must petition the Court of Common Pleas to appoint a successor. In terms of the successor's term, the appointed successor shall hold office until the first Monday in January after the first municipal election, which occurs more than 95 days after the appointment, at which an election of an eligible person shall be elected to fill the unexpired term. I'll provide that to you in writing tomorrow. Mr. Picano, good luck and thank you.
So this is your opinion in accordance with the Home Rule Charter and the Pennsylvania Code.
That's correct.
Thank you. All right, upcoming township meetings and events. October 10th, we have Recycling Day from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. October 14th, Historical Commission meeting. October 19th, Planning Commission meeting. October 21, Zoning Hearing Board meeting. October 24th, the Harvest Festival from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. October 27th, Council Agenda meeting. November 4th, Council Regular meeting, which is on a Wednesday because Election Day is the day before. So that's it. Okay, get a motion for adjournment, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you for coming out.